But back to the Fed for a second as we watch a market that's moving higher. Steve, did you anticipate no change, I guess? And I would just walk this forward, if you would, walk it forward for us. When do we actually start to see rates once again tick higher? And how do they deal in the meantime with this balance sheet that is, frankly, out of control?
Right. Well, right, Trish. Quantitative easing, pretty easy to get into, not so easy to get out of, is it, when you do this with the balance sheet? So I would say this was completely a non-surprise. Wall Street certainly knew with basic 100% certainty that they wouldn't move today, and they didn't. However, there's a lot more indecision regarding September. Are they going to raise in September? I'm of the view that they will and that they should, but Wall Street is really, right now, it's kind of a coin flip. It's roughly a 50-50 bet when you look at where futures markets are pricing in interest rates going forward. But I think the larger point here, we've got another great day for a lot of stocks. Boeing, for instance, is soaring to an all-time high on a huge earnings report, bullish outlook going forward. What's going on in the economy, I think thanks to the optimism, to the regulatory relief that Donald Trump has already brought to the economy, thanks to the tax cuts, which I believe are imminently coming to the economy is accelerating, and people know it, and confidence is high. And because of that, it's allowing the Fed finally, at last, to start this process of normalizing policy, and thank goodness.
Well, I don't know, Nicole Petallides, is Donald Trump's going to take so kindly to the whole normalization process. In other words, it's nice to have the wind at your back, right? It's nice to have the Fed helping you out, as they did for President Obama for 8 years. I am in agreement with Steve. We do need to actually get to some kind of normalization process. We do need to start moving higher at some point on rates. However, there is a lot of chatter about Gary Cohn potentially coming in and replacing Janet Yellen. Do traders think that if she is in fact going to move higher on rates come September, that her days might be numbered?
Listen, I don't think people are really betting on a September rate hike from Janet Yellen. It's more likely to see it by the end of the year. But you make a great point. We know that she has loved that low interest rate policy. Everybody uses the word normalization, not really even raising rates, just trying to get to somewhat of a normal level so that they could have some bullets in the box in case things go worse. So it's very interesting whether Gary Cohn or he really is keeping Janet Yellen in the loop on this one. In the meantime, everybody is really maintaining their optimism and looking to not only what we've seen with the Fed, we've had a low interest rate, not what we've seen from the Trump administration, but now they're just turning to earnings and really holding on to this optimism. 75% have been a beat for the most part thus far. And we have records, again, today, Dow, NASDAQ, S&P, and you have some stocks that are just doing great, like Advanced Micro, Amazon, Boeing, just really moving higher. So it's pretty amazing that we just continue here on an upward trend.
So do you think the trend continues, Steve Cortes? In other words, are we still cheaply valued in your view, or about right, or getting a little frothy? How do you characterize this market?
You know, Trish, I do think we go higher from here. We're not cheaply valued. I don't think anybody can make that argument. You know, the stock market's come quite a long way. However, can we still go higher from here? I believe we can, if and when we get those tax cuts. And I believe we're going to. I still remain very, very optimistic, despite the tough summer on Capitol Hill with health care. I do think come fall, before Thanksgiving, we get tax cuts. We already have an economy that's burning relatively well. If we throw some gasoline of tax cuts on there, all of a sudden that small or medium-sized fire turns into a bonfire, a big, beautiful bonfire. So I really do think we can grow.
Your confidence is still going to get done, and this is despite the challenges that they have seen with health care. I mean, let's not forget just exactly what we had to go through yesterday. Senator McCain had to come in from Arizona despite having recently had an operation and getting a very serious diagnosis. You had to have the vice president come in. I mean, all these votes were so desperately needed, and this is just to start the conversation on the health care repeal. So hang on, Nicole. So I do want to ask Steve, why are you so confident that you're going to see tax reform?
Right. No, listen, very valid question, and here's why. We didn't see the president take front and center in selling the health care vision to the American people. I believe he's going to do that, and he has stated he's going to do that with tax cuts. It's going to be campaign style. There's going to be rallies. There's going to be improved messaging. My friend Anthony Scaramucci has turned those cameras back on. I think that's going to be critical to getting tax cuts. We have to persuade, we on Team Trump have to persuade and sell the American people on the necessity of tax cuts. And if the president takes the lead there, I think that he'll be unstoppable on Capitol Hill.
Okay, Nicole, what are you hearing? If tax cuts go through, this market goes much higher?
Well, you know what I wanted to tell you? I was watching the Facebook earnings and all that, and I have to tell you, we talk about the market going higher. Citigroup puts Facebook at $190 price target in 12 months, up 14% basically from Monday's close. So you're looking at a $190 target for Facebook right now. So it's changing at $165 a share. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, people are still betting to the upside here.
All right, very quickly, can we show shares of Whole Foods right now? Because it turns out that some information there on earnings came out. Same-store sales declining. Nicole,
they were a beat on the earnings per share.
But they were a beat on earnings, so
and in line with revenue. And in line with revenue for Whole Foods. And I didn't see too much mention about the Amazon deal. I have to look through that.
Okay, all right, we'll check back with you. Thank you so much, guys. Good to see you, Steve and Nicole.